Welcome, hardworking dads and parents, the show where we dive into challenges and joys of parenthood, one episode at a time. I'm Curtis Leong, and with my host here, RJ.
We're co-hosts, right?
Yep.
And for a while, I think we are going to try and get other people to join us, because there are many experts out there besides you and I. You and I are a couple of hardworking parents, and on that subject, you kind of changed the name of your program, right?
Yep, just to get a broader audience, more so, because I just feel like there's dads that work hard, but you know what? There's moms out there nowadays that work hard too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to generalize it a bit, saying parents.
So we're both parents. Working
right?
Parents.
Yep. Sorry.
So, and I like that change. I think the audience will appreciate it too. Like, it's almost like we were segregating a certain section of the population.
Yep. Okay, so what are we going to get into today? You're going to ask?
Today, our episode is called Check Yourself at the Door. I like this topic. It's kind of, we led into this last week. And I like this topic because a lot of times we bring our stuff home with us, right? All the things that go on in a day. We come home, we're unhappy, we're miserable, we're tired. But yet we have to come home to our kids and our wives and our partners. And they don't understand all the things we've gone through in a day. So how do we leave it at the door? So when we walk in that door, we're healthy, we're happy, we're smiling, we're ready to, enjoy the family home.
Yep, for sure. You don't bring all your stresses from work home into the home, right? Can leave it separate.
Mm-hmm. Because we are hardworking parents, right? And we go through so much. Like in a day, like I'm an office worker. I deal with technical staff who don't want to do, like I'm training and development. They don't want to do their training. They don't believe this training is good for them. The managers are worried about the techs getting the work done. So they don't want to dedicate people time for training so much, right? That's a hassle for them. So there's all these hassles that go along with my job. How about you? What kind of hassles do you have to deal with your job? Because it's not all peaches and roses, right?
No. Well, I'm a technician and installer. And a lot of times it's just trying to deal with customers more for us than anything. The job itself is fairly easy. I'm pretty open to do training and stuff. More than happy to do that. And that's just customers. Sometimes, they get customers that are not very nice. Probably because, like you said, they're probably having a bad day and they like to express their feelings towards you, and you're probably the bad guy, or maybe the first person they talk to for the day. Yeah. And if they're having a bad day, they seem to think that's okay to dump on you about it.
I remember when I was a bus driver, I used to get it all the time, right?
Yep.
And if I had a bad experience, that could carry on with me for hours at a time. And sometimes my wife at the time, she listened to me, right? She used to listen to me bitch and moan, and unfortunately that took a toll on her. Yep. So that's when I realized, okay, I need to change the way I'm coming for her, showing up for her, right?
Yeah.
I remember one time I had an experience where this guy, he missed the bus because he was at the wrong stop. It wasn't one of our stops.
Yep.
So he ended up getting on my bus later on at he got another bus to one of our stations, got on my bus. And then when he got off the bus, he's like, well, why didn't you stop for me, this and that? And I'm like, that's not our stop. He's like, but you could have stopped for me anyways. Meanwhile, I wasn't in a position to stop for him, right? He was just trying to be mean with me and blame it on me. And I said, look, that wasn't our stop. The next stop around the corner, if you meet me there tomorrow, I'll be glad to pick you up. He turns to me and says, well, I know what kind of a-hole I'm going to talk to the rest of the day. I turned around on him, I said, I know what kind of asshole you're going to, excuse me for my language, but I know what kind of a-hole you're going to have to deal with the rest of the day either. Meaning the a-hole was him, right? He's the person he's going to have to deal with the rest of the day. But you know what? That's an experience that I could let it affect me, right? These are the things that as hardworking parents, we experience in our day, and we can carry that home with us. In fact, too many of us do that. And, our kids and our spouse end up having to pay the brunt of it.
Yep, for sure.
And so that's the topic. That's the reason we thought this was a powerful topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things do you think we can do to help us not leave some of the stuff behind? You want to tell a story about the leaf story?
We'll get to that. I'd like to tell that story, but right now, like we've talked about self-care, I think, on this episode, right? Different things that we can do to help remove the stress. So one of the things is, look, because we're talking about getting this out before we go home, right?
Yep.
You say you go to the gym. You usually try to get to the gym in the early morning or whatever. But
Yep.
you know what? Maybe spending a half an hour or 45 minutes at the gym after work before you go home to your family. There you get to relieve that energy, relieve that tension and stress. Leave it at the gym.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Or some people can just do breathing. Yep.
Meditation. You know what? Sit in your car for the last 10 minutes, and listen to, or, do some meditation, just relax, do some breathing exercises before you go in the door. Or, you know what? Music on the way home.
Yeah,
right?
something you like. Yeah, for sure.
Something to rock yourself out to just let yourself get emotionally charged, like in a good way, like healthy, get the blood flowing, get the smile back on your face.
Yeah.
Before you walk in the door.
So you're kind of intentional in what you're trying to do, right?
Absolutely.
Because you had a bad day. Some breathing exercise might help too, right? Get in your car, do a little box breathing or something like that, and maybe it'll get you relieved from the situation. And also, it's up to you, right? It's all about you trying to let it go, and from there, you can probably have a better evening. And don't worry about what happened during the day if it's not too serious. Obviously, some people have like some serious jobs that they're certain situations are a lot different than maybe what we're dealing with. But if you do have any serious situations, let us know. For sure.
Absolutely. And we're happy to talk to people and have these conversations with people. Now, we're not counselors, right? We can act as support. We can hear you out. But look, you know what? Counseling. I'm a different person today because 12 years ago I sought a counselor, right?
Yep.
That counselor helped talk me through my problems. So, some people have stressful enough jobs that they need to talk it through. They need to be able to walk away, but they can't. A counselor, there's nothing wrong with seeking a counselor, to have those conversations with a professional who's going to help you find a better mood or find a better spirit, right? So I just wanted to put that out there for people so that they get the idea that it's okay to talk to somebody. And I think awareness is one of the keys, right? We have to be aware of what we're going through in any given moment. What is our mood, right? What are some of the attitudes we're putting forward? And how is that making us respond, right? How is that making us act? Having that awareness allows us to change who we are and what we're doing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And then, so I talked about counselors, right? Because you have to be able to let it go. You don't want to bring this stuff home to your family. That's what it boils down to, right? Finding the ways to let it go. And we talked before this episode about, parents but there's not just parents of children, right? Right now, you and I both have pets, right? We have dogs. I don't know if you have a cat or just dog.
Just two dogs.
We have dogs. And listen, my dog meets me at the door. My dog is there, wagging his tail, ready for me when I get home. You know what? Enjoy that love. Enjoy that moment. If that way, before you get to your kids, before you get to your spouse, you've already got some joy infused in your love. So people have cats, and the cats, the cat sometimes is at the door and starts waving its way around your feet, and they're rubbing themselves up against you. Enjoy that love, because that's all that is. It's unconditional love.
Absolutely, 100%. And then sometimes just asking yourself for some questions, right? Like, how are you feeling? How are you coming across to your family? Could be a thing too, right? Somebody just asking a question of yourself. And that could be just like, hey, maybe I'm being a whatever, mean person type thing. And then maybe we can make consciously think that, hey, maybe I can change this, and then dictate our own interactions with that person and our family members. And, when the dogs come to your house and they greet you, it's like, that's a happy moment. And then you probably say, I feel good. And then you take that good feeling and carry it with your wife, your children, or whoever's in your household, right? For sure.
But sometimes people are even to that degree where they might not enjoy that dog, wagging his tail, barking and jumping at you. That might be a stressful experience as well, because you're so stressed and because you're so elevated. But being aware that this is how I'm feeling. I should be enjoying this moment, but I'm not, because, right? Just awareness. And again, if you're aware of something, you can change it. You can fix it. If you're not aware of something, it's just going to continue to go on and go on and go on. So we need to be aware of it.
Oh, yeah. And then sometimes just thinking about something positive after work, like, something good happened during the day, Instead of thinking about the bad stuff, say what was good. Like, hey, I had a great lunch with a friend of mine. You know, he met me at lunch. Say, come over, have a quick lunch. That was a good time, or whatever it may be. Or maybe someone at work was like, hey, you're the best bus driver ever. You know what I mean? Even though you had a mean person earlier saying how crappy you are, but you should take the good, right? And try to make that.
I've had that more than one occasion, you know, where you have a bad interaction and maybe you handled it well, but it still dwells on your mind. And I've had a passenger come off and go, you know what, way to go, great job on that. Like I even do it at Costco, you know what I mean? When they're busy, and I mean that place gets busy, and you know the cashiers can get, you know, hectic. The food staff, like they handle a lot of people in a given day. And numerous times I've come up to them and say, great job, you're doing great. You know what I mean? Because just that little thing can help somebody who may be experiencing a bad day to change their demeanor. And we need to encourage people wherever we can.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because if you make others feel good, they can make you feel good. And just by doing like a charity or like a feel good moment for them can reflect back onto you. It's kind of like a mirror, right? If you project something great and happy, it can come back. So
giving of yourself, giving, you know, to other people, and giving spirit, giving energy. These can be valuable tools to help yourself feel better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then the reason we're talking about all this is because we want you to leave it at the door. We want you to let go of your problems before we get to your family. And so you talked about that story about the leaves, and I don't know whether it was from Bob Proctor or Zig Ziglar, where I heard this story, and it's about every day this guy would get out of his car, and his neighbor would see him, and he sees him touching the leaves. He'd come home, he'd, you know, look up at the tree, he'd, you know, reflect for a moment, and he'd start touching the leaves, right? Different leaves, and, you know, almost as if he was counting them off or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the neighbor kept seeing this, and he's like, I wonder why he's doing this. I don't understand it, right? So he goes up one day, after he sees the neighbor doing it again, and he's like, every day I see you touch these leaves. Why? What's going on? Like, I see you reflect, or you know, you stop, you're praying to the tree or something like that, and then you touch the leaves. What's the deal with that? And so the guy goes, listen, he says, every day in my job, I have a stressful job. And so whenever I have a problem, I remember that problem. So I'm remembering all the problems I have at the day. And then I'm touching each leaf for every problem I have. And I'm leaving the problems on this tree. So this tree is figuring my problems. And now I can go home and, you know, spend time with my family because I've left my problems at the door, right?
Nice. That's a good story. That's good.
Absolutely. I love it. It's one of those reminders, right? And I think we need these reminders. So if people can remember this story, maybe even find their own way to check themselves at the door.
Let's make it a measuring tape.
Listen, I love it. And this is what I'm talking about, right? This is why we do it. Because, you know, somebody who was in a bad mood might have looked at that like, what the heck are you doing? Get this away from me, right? But here we are laughing about it. She's cheering you up, right? So gotta love you. This is the moments that I'm talking about, the things we can love and enjoy because we've checked ourselves at the door, right? So
it's also Sunday morning, so it's all good, right? It's the weekend.
Oh, of course, right? But I mean, again, you know, somebody on Sunday morning could be thinking about their Monday morning and everything they have to do, right? If life and job is so stressful that we keep up with that, we don't get to enjoy these little moments like that happen. You know what I mean? I got a big smile and my heart is shining because she did that this morning, right?
It's so funny.
I love it. And that's what we're talking about, is we're creating that happy home because we're able to let everything go.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I think. We've had a good conversation. Is there anything else you need to add to this? Because you just experienced that. How did that make you feel? How did that reflect?
Well, I saw it coming over. I was like, oh, it should be interesting on the video. It's pretty funny, man. It's just
absolutely
like that.
Like I said, those are the moments of joy that we're supposed to experience.
Yeah, for sure. So I really enjoy our conversation here, RJ. Do you want to wrap it up now?
I've had enough to say, so yeah, you can tell people more about us, and
all right. Well, let's
back next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. So let's just work on ourselves. Try to take some of the tips we had today about reflection, being aware of your emotions and stuff like that. For some men, it might be difficult, but you want to be a better person, so you got to change it for the betterment of yourself and those around you. And remember to follow us on social media, like and share, and subscribe to our channel if you're on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. And don't forget to check yourself at the door. RJ, any closing words?
No, that's a great show, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Eat the candy.
Oh, thanks.